In the real estate industry, being the number one agent in your market is a badge of credibility that everybody wants. But I want you to know something, that just because an agent says that they're number one does not mean that they are the best agent. In fact, I would argue that in many cases, the number one agent, in other words, the agent that does the most amount of business, is not the best agent. And here's why. In today's economy, many real estate agents will spend a lot of money on internet leads. They'll then hire a team of lesser experienced agents to sift through those leads day in and day out, looking for the 5, 10, maybe less out of 100 who are actually ready to transact, looking past all of the tire kickers to those that are really actually ready to go. Now, in other words, they spend either 40% of their day sifting or 40% of their revenue on buying internet leads. Either way, they have less time and less resources to put towards the client experience. And while that system can work, there's a hidden cost to both the agent as well as the clients that they serve. All right, let's go ahead and pull back that curtain a little bit further. As I mentioned, agents who are transactional, meaning they aren't working primarily by referral, are typically doing that in a couple of different ways. They're buying internet leads, which oftentimes means that they're spending 40% of revenue to big companies like Zillow in order to close those deals. Or they're prospecting, they're cold calling, whether it be to those same internet leads or whether it be to for sale by owners and other maybe unassuming property owners who aren't necessarily inviting them to call, but they're calling them anyway in order to see if there's an opportunity. Now, I'm not here to hit or beat on any particular model. If something's working for you and you're being fair and honest with the client, serving them well, by all means, keep doing it. But here's my belief, is that in every market in the country, a by referral agent, in other words, an agent that works primarily by referral, is the best agent from a client experience standpoint and should be also the number one agent in their market. Now, those don't oftentimes go together because an agent who does a lot of volume oftentimes does it because they're making less margin because they're spending so much time and they're spending so much resources on finding the clients that will transact. So it just becomes a question of where do I want to put my attention? Is it on finding the client or serving the client? And I believe that by referral agents are those who are spending their time on serving the client. Therefore, they have a better overall client experience. Now, I'm sure I'm going to get some haters on this, but that's okay. We all need to take a stance on something. And I think this is really important because let's face it, consumers in general are not super happy with real estate agents as a whole, right? The NAR, the National Association of Realtors, last year lost a significant lawsuit, which essentially said that consumers were not happy about real estate agents not providing enough value and they were price fixing, right? So if that doesn't tell you that consumers believe that the average real estate agent is not providing value requisite to what they're charging, then I don't know what does, right? So we have to take a look at that to say, well, how can we change the industry for good? Is it double down on what got us here? I don't think so. And yet big companies like the Z word that I mentioned, right? They're taking 40% of the revenue. So what can an agent do? They have to do more volume, which means they have to, again, dilute the client experience more. So again, I share that because as a real estate agent who does business by referral, I've got your back. I want you to produce at the highest level because I believe that that is the path forward to have more respect for our industry, have a better overall client experience, and be able to have you serving clients in your community for a long, long time and being well paid in order to do so because you've earned the right to do so. So let's talk about why referrals change the game. As I mentioned, agents that are working transactionally and are out prospecting endlessly or buying leads endlessly, because they're spending so much time and resources to do that, they're not leaving a lot of time for the client. Oftentimes they're spending half their day looking for the client versus their entire day serving the client. Yet when you work by referral, your phone rings because some client or other professional was really happy about your service, the way you served them or another one of their clients well in the past, and therefore they want to share that client experience with other people. And so naturally, you're going to have more opportunity to pour into the client experience. In other words, referrals are not just good for your business, they're great for the clients that you serve. Now let's talk about the power of concentration. One of the weaknesses of a referral-based business is that you spend quite a bit of time driving. Now, why driving? Well, because when people refer you to their friends and family, those friends and family don't always live in the same neighborhood. They're oftentimes in other communities and other cities. And if you're a by referral agent, you don't want to turn that business down, right? You want to serve the friends and family of those people who trust you. But there's a problem with that, because now all of a sudden, rather than like the transactional agents who are out hunting all day long, you're out driving all day long. So how do we concentrate that business? How do we take it to where you get referral business from one location? Now, it's not going to be foolproof, right? You're never going to be able to entirely say that all my business is going to come from this particular geographical area. However, you can do what my friend Beth did. She was a very successful referral-based real estate agent, and she said, I'm doing a lot of driving. I'm gonna draw a 3-mile circle around my house. Anything outside of that circle, I'm gonna refer out to somebody else. She had done very well in her career, and she had imagined that her business would start to go down because of that. But something remarkable happened. Her business went up. She started doing more business, more referral business. And the reality is this, is when you have, let's say 15 real estate signs or 10 real estate signs out at any given time, and they're spread across an entire county, guess what? Not that many people are gonna see more than one of your signs. But if your 10 signs are in a neighborhood or neighboring neighborhoods, guess what? More people are going to see your signs, and they're going to start to remember you. And they're going to start to have the belief that you're the only agent in town. That concentration effect needs to happen within your referral-based business, which simply means you need to create other referral partners that serve outside of your area and gladly refer them business and expect them to do the same when it's inside of your area. Now, some of you are not going to be courageous enough to do this. Some of you are not going to be in a position to do that. But for those who are, watch and see. Focus, go deeper, not wider, and you find out what happens. You will see, similar to what my friend Beth said, is that you start to get more famous in those areas and get more business in the areas where you actually want to work, that keep you from driving all day long to serving all day long, which, by the way, you don't get paid to drive, you do get paid to serve. So let's go back now and define being number one. If you're trying to be number one in an entire metropolitan area, it's going to take a very long time and an enormous amount of resources. What I would encourage you to do is to choose a zip code, and potentially even smaller, a corner of that zip code or some key neighborhoods within that zip code, and really go deep. Look for professionals, businesses that are in and around and serving that particular neighborhood. Look for friends, family, and clients who live and work in that particular area, and go deep with them. Let them know that you are a specialist while you serve the greater metro area, right? Because you still want to have opportunities to refer out. But in addition to that, you are a specialist in these particular areas serving these kinds of people. And again, I know it's going to be a little bit scary because you might think that you're going to lose. But I'm telling you, as long as that demographic that you're choosing is big enough, by specializing in that, things are going to change for you. You're going to see a dramatic difference in the quantity of opportunities because you're going to have the multiplication effect. More people are going to see you within that smaller space, and organic opportunities are going to start to show up. In other words, this path leads to a sustainable business and a sustainable lifestyle. It also leads to clients who get the best of you versus what's left over. And you get a community who recognizes you and trusts you. Again, I want you to know that I'm rooting for you as a referral-based real estate agent, as a referral-based professional. We deserve as consumers to have by referral professionals serving us. We also deserve as professionals who are working by referral, who have the very best client experience out there, we deserve to be not just number one as far as quality, but also number one as far as quantity. Our industries need it, and they deserve it. And if this has been helpful, feel free to let me know. Also, if you're interested in knowing how we do this for agents, go to ProInsight.com, schedule some time to meet, and we'll talk through to see if there's a way that what we've built can be a benefit to you and helping you to become number one in your market by referral. Thanks again for tuning in.